Hello again, everybody. This is Marco Milani, and this is part number 2 of my 2020 NFL mock draft. A couple of things I forgot to mention is the local teams picks. For the San Francisco fans, San Francisco will be selecting 13th and 31st. And for the Raiders fans who are still loyal to them, even though they moved to Las Vegas, they will be picking number 12 and number 19. Now let's get into the second part with the 13th pick. And with that 13th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. They acquired this pick with the DeForest Buckner trade that sent him to Indianapolis in exchange for a first overall pick. CeeDee Lamb is a great wide receiver. He had Jalen Hurts throwing to him in Oklahoma, and he also had Kyler Murray. Now, I will admit, I almost put Jerry Jeudy to San Francisco and CeeDee Lamb to Arizona to get that chemistry back with Kyler Murray and CeeDee Lamb, because of course Kyler Murray went to Oklahoma, CeeDee Lamb went to Oklahoma. That chemistry fits. But I decided against it because I thought that would be too crazy. So Jeudy is now in Arizona. San Francisco gets Lamb. Either way, they'll be getting a great receiver that could really fit in anywhere. If you put Deebo Samuel at the wide receiver 1 position, you put CeeDee Lamb at either a 2 or a slot position, he will thrive. And if Garoppolo improves his throwing, unlike the Super Bowl, which the running game kind of carried that team throughout the Super Bowl, I think it's going to be a great season for Garoppolo because he'll have some great receivers to throw to. Now, with Tampa Bay's selection, they get Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon. Yes, I know, they just got Tom Brady, but Tom Brady needs somebody to be his protege after he retires. Justin Herbert is that guy. He's a great student of the game. He's very smart. He can play, and if need be, he can fill in it for a late game situation. Denver, they select C.J. Henderson, cornerback out of Florida. They've needed some DB help, and I've heard a lot of great things about C.J. Henderson, and I've actually seen a lot of mock drafts where Henderson goes here. So I think it's a good fit. With Atlanta's selection, they get Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Now, as you probably have heard, Vic Beasley signed somewhere else in free agency, so they need someone to fill in that pass rush. Javon Kinlaw is the guy to do it. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I've heard a lot of good things about his physicality and stuff, and I think Atlanta gets a great pick here. With Dallas's selection, they get Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson. Now, this is another guy I've heard a lot of great things about, and Dallas has needed some help on defense for quite a while now. So, Clemson, being another team that's produced some great defenses over the past couple years, produces another gem in Isaiah Simmons. Miami picks, with their 18th selection, K'Lavon Chaisson, linebacker out of LSU. Miami gets a great linebacker here. LSU is another team that's been known for great defenses. They haven't really been in the college football playoff conversation in a little bit, but that's okay. They've still had a very respectable seasons. And Caleb Chiasson is just part of that. Las Vegas, with their 19th pick, they get Christian Fulton, cornerback out of LSU. This isn't the first time Las Vegas has selected a DB in the first round. I mean, it's like an annual tradition for the Raiders to select some kind of DB in the first round. It's kind of funny, actually. But I think will be the final year that they pick a DB in the first round to finally seal up that help. They have Jonathan Abram, and they got a couple great DBs, and they just signed somebody after the Eli Apple thing. Excuse me, not the Eli Apple. One DB free agency pickup fell through, and they needed somebody to solidify that DB core, and Fulton will be that guy. Jacksonville. They select Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. Jacksonville needs some DB help. Originally, I had Delpit going here just as the best available, but after seeing what the DB core is like in Jacksonville, they could use some depth, and you can never have enough depth in the DB core. And Delpit's the guy to do it. With Philadelphia's selection, the 21st pick, they select Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I saw it too. Yes, I know I have a run of LSU players. Happy accident. But back to Jefferson. Nelson Aguilar played dropsy this year and only caught just above 50% of his passes. And that's not very good for a great wide receiver with a big name as Nelson Aguilar. Of course, now he is in Vegas playing under John Gruden's offense, so they need a replacement. Justin Jefferson is a great piece for that. LSU has had good offenses. Of course, Joe Burrow, the potential first overall pick, was throwing to him. So Carson Wentz is going to get a great target here. Now this next pick is going to be an interesting one. Minnesota, they select Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Now, as you probably heard, Stephon Diggs got traded to Buffalo for a couple of picks. Brandon Ayuk is a great replacement. Now, originally, I had never heard of this guy. Until I watched a couple mock drafts, and I looked at a few mock drafts, and I kept seeing his name pop up, like to San Francisco, to Green Bay, and to a couple other teams in the second or third round. But this dude's really underrated, so I had to look at his tape, and I was quite impressed with what I saw. Now, let's look at his combine profile. Ayuk is graded a 6.38, which means he'll be a starter within the first 2 seasons. He ran an unofficial 4.5 in the 40 in the combine. He had a vertical jump of 40 inches, and he had 11 reps on the bench press. He's 6'0", 205, and so he's pretty tall, and he's actually pretty healthily built. Let's see his strengths. Feast off an off-man coverage, which means he can probably be really fast in a go route situation. Routes are linear but crisp and fast, which is key in the NFL because you have to have fast route running to make some great plays. First down maker is really good because first downs are pretty important in the NFL. But look at this. Considered the yards after king in college football. Now, that's pretty rare for the NFL to have one of those, a yards after king, which means yards after catch. But so if Minnesota does get him, I think Kirk Cousins will be happy to throw to him. So, New England. They select Cesar Ruiz, center, out of Michigan. Nothing really much to say here except New England gets some protection for their starter, whoever that may be, Jared Stidham or Brian Hoyer. New Orleans. They select Jacob Eason, quarterback out of Washington. For this pick, I have the same justification as I had for Tampa Bay getting Justin Herbert. Drew Brees needs someone as his protege. Now, some could argue that's Taysom Hill. But at this point, I am still sticking with Hill as being that utility player. And there's no issue with that. So, Eason is going to be a great selection here. With the 25th selection, Minnesota selects Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end out of Penn State. Again, this is a best available type situation, but then I looked at his ESPN 2019 season stats, and I saw he had 9.5 sacks. So that's pretty incredible. Yeah, Gross-Matos will be a great selection for Minnesota, who can use some help on defense. Then Miami. With their 26th pick, they get Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. Now, I could go DeAndre Swift here, but I decided against it because I think Jonathan Taylor will be a better fit in Miami. Yes, they have Jordan Howard, and they just got him in free agency. I believe they signed him to a 1-year deal. But one of two things could happen. If they do select Jonathan Taylor, he will either battle for the running back 1 position, or he will split time with Jordan Howard throughout the season, being that dangerous 1-2 running back pair. Seattle, with their 27th pick, they get Andrew Thomas, tackle out of Georgia. Nothing much to say again here. Andrew Thomas was protecting Jake Fromm the past couple years, and Seattle could use some good help for Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson never had a problem. If you saw the Monday night game against the 49ers, he had plenty of time to throw, but why not more help? Baltimore. With the 28th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Ezra Cleveland, tackle out of Boise State. Kind of the same justification I made for Seattle getting Thomas. But why do you think Baltimore was so successful in the playoffs and in the regular season? They had great protection, and I think Cleveland will just add to that. Tennessee. They select Trevon Diggs, cornerback out of Alabama. Trevon Diggs is a great player, and Alabama is another team that's been known for great defenses and great DBs. Trevon Diggs is just another product of the system. This is the best available pick, but Tennessee gets a steal. With the 30th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU. This is another guy I never heard of until, again, I saw him going to Green Bay. I saw him going to Minnesota. I saw him going to San Francisco in some drafts. So I had to look him up. Watched his tape, was quite impressed. Let's see his combine profile. Kind of the same grade as Ayuk, 6'3", He's 5'11", 206, so he's kind of short, but he's big. He ran a sub 4.5 time in the 40, 4.47. He has a vertical jump of 42 inches and a 20-yard shuttle of 4.46. His strengths: fluid but explosive. That means he can be smooth, but he can really be quick in some situations. Silky with the ball in his hands. That seems like it's very good. Shows ability to lose coverage at the top of the route, which is good. That means he can probably burn a lot of DBs on some routes. And yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna like throwing to him. San Francisco, with the 31st pick, San Francisco gets Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. San Francisco could use some DB help. A lot of their DBs have been injured and haven't lived up to their hype. And Xavier McKinney will be another great addition to that DB core, and Robert Saleh will have a lot of fun with him. But I am going to warn you this: if you are going to watch the draft, do not be surprised if San Francisco decides to trade down into the second round, because they don't have any second or third round picks. They only have first, fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks. And as you know, Deebo Samuel came out of their second. Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd came out of their second and third round picks a couple years ago, if not last year. So who knows? So second rounders can be a great asset to the 49ers organization. Now, with Kansas City's selection, the final selection of the first round, they get DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia. Now, yes, I know that they have an undrafted running back in there already, starting in their core with Damian Williams. But what if they had Swift paired with Patrick Mahomes? DeAndre Swift is a dangerous runner. I was actually watching an old game against Florida when DeAndre Swift was playing, and I saw a lot of great things, a lot of great runs out of him. He's fast, and he's a great playmaker. And I think Kansas City would enjoy somebody like him. With that said, that is the end of my first round mock draft. If you guys like this mock draft, I can also do rounds 2 to 7 if requested. So, like this video and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Marco Milani. I'm a sports reporter for the Skyline View, and I'll see you guys soon.